We must do everything in our power to end hate-fueled domestic terrorism.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Now we have what we call domestic violent extremism or domestic terrorism.
Man, that's a relief. I'm glad they are all over that. I wonder who these domestic extremists are that they intend to crush the same way they crushed radical jihad. Joining me now, the great Auron MacIntyre, host at The Blaze. Auron, these domestic extremists sound like pretty scary people. Who exactly are they talking about?
For sure, they're talking about your grandma, my grandpa, people down the street, and anyone in Red America who might in any way oppose the regime.
Auron, it's wild to me how many people can't see what's very clearly happening. The American right is being turned into an enemy of the state so they can justify using state power against them. It's obvious that it's really the overarching story in everything you see, and the GOP certainly can't see it. If they can, they're not fighting against it.
Yeah, that's the really amazing thing, right? As the opposition party, the criminalization of political opposition should be an existential threat to you. But the Republican Party is acting like it doesn't matter at all, or it's not happening at all, which means they probably aren't real political opposition. And of course, this was always the reason that they found Donald Trump dangerous, right? No matter how you feel about Trump himself, his actual execution as president or his ability to lead or run again, that's really immaterial. When Trump said that they're not after me, they're after you, I'm just in the way, that was the truest thing that has really been said in American politics in a very long time. The Democratic Party hates the right. It hates middle America. It hates conservatives. It thinks that they are a threat to their way of life, and they're correct, of course, that because any restriction on their incredible perversion of reality is too much for them to bear. And so they are more than willing to go after their political enemies in the most vicious way possible, whether it requires them to go ahead and ban people, to get them to be removed from banks, have them lose their jobs, get destroyed on social media. But now they're moving to a far more effective and direct way to do this. They're simply going to threaten to throw people in jail.
Oh, of course they will. And the right, the GOP continues to fund the GOP without hesitation. Although yell and scream now about the border quite a bit, no one is even suggesting during all the funding arguments that the FBI be defunded when this institution is very clearly going to descend like an unholy plague on the right as soon as they lock up Trump and everyone gets on Facebook and talks about going to war.
But it's very clear that the Republican Party only knows how to act as the outer party, right? You have the inner party, which is Democrats. You have the outer party, which is the Republicans. They may pretend, we might have this pantomime of opposition. But at the end of the day, the Republican Party is tied to the system. They believe entirely in the system. They cannot imagine a world outside of the system. And so if the system becomes fully corrupt and fully captured, which it very clearly has, they have no answer to it. We'll hear things about reform. We'll hear things about new appointments, cleaning house. But like you said, there's no one actually talking about limiting their budget or their power.